Welcome back, everybody. What would episode 4 of Clan Brandolorian be without a little bit of ranking? Now, this isn't just a personal ranking list. We're not going to go through each movie or each series or each character, none of that. This week, we are looking at Star Wars Holocrons posts. Per usual, we love them. Shout out to Star Wars Holocron. But the comic book had recently posted their most rewatchable Star Wars movies from worst to best. Now, we're going to go through every single one that they posted. Shout out to the comic book, for all of their geeky, nerdy news that they do online. Very, very good little brand there to follow. But I think some of them are just so interesting, and I want to go over this and share my thoughts with you guys. And of course, if you guys are listening on Apple or Spotify, be sure to hit me up on Instagram. Be sure to like the podcast episode. That way I know that we're getting some good traction over on those other platforms. But of course, if you're here on YouTube watching this video, comment in the section right now what your rewatchable list is for Star Wars. I mean, there's so many good movies. We're going to get into that, but I want to know what you guys think. I feel like this is just a good opportunity to get back to you guys and for you guys to just reach out to me. Had plenty of people reach out to me already just in these first 3 episodes, and we are on number 4 already. Absolutely insane. So this is going to be a really good episode. So let's go through what the comic book has posted. Let's get into it. And first off, in this episode, I just want to thank all of you guys so far for checking out Clan Brandolorian, the podcast. This is the new revamped little podcast. It's going good so far. I really appreciate all of you tuning in each and every week, every Saturday. And this is absolutely awesome. So, I mean, just talking Star Wars and really just kind of sitting in front of the camera by myself, solo, recording, it is so awkward in some senses. I mean, it's super weird sometimes because I'm like, okay, is my pacing going well? Is this entertaining enough for you guys? But I think this is great. I mean, it's a really good time. I can kind of decompress as, going over the topic. I can really just sit back and unwind a little bit. And it just is very chill. But of course, there's times, especially when you do a solo podcast, you're just kind of like, okay, is this actually working? Is this good? But yeah, so be sure to follow on Instagram. Be sure to follow on TikTok. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube. And of course, feel free to reach out. We do have a new website actually posted up. Shout out to Canva. We went ahead and made us a little super minimalist website. That way everything is linked there. We have Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Apple, Spotify. We have all of the plugins there. And of course, we got the Saber company in there. If you guys want 10% off site-wide, use code Clan Brandolorian. So be sure to go check out a new lightsaber. If you haven't had one already, definitely go get you one. Save 10% off. So pretty much if you get anything around, let's say the lightsaber you get is $100, you'll get $10 off. And that's a pretty big deal. And shipping is always super cheap. And on certain orders, it is free shipping. So be sure to go check that out. We do appreciate you guys chiming in. I can't say that enough. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else we're missing before we jump into this. We will also have the new merch store set up. We got a new supplier. We're going to go through them, and some of the pricing is phenomenal. So using Bonfire and stuff, great service, just super pricey, and the shipping is out of this world. So we're going to kind of slowly gravitate into this new vendor here. So this is going to be a really good platform. That way you guys can go get you some CB, some Clan Brandolorian merch. We do have the normal CB logo, the OG one, mixed in with the new front letter font there for the Clan Brandolorian. That is also shown here on the podcast cover art. So you'll see that there. But yeah, be sure to go get you some merch. We'll all link all that down below. But with all that being said, let's get into this. So every Star Wars movie ranked by rewatchability by comic book. So we're going to start. We're just going to name all of them from worst to best. Now they have at number 11 coming in, they have The Rise of Skywalker, then The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Solo, The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens, Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and the best and most rewatchable Star Wars movie to them is Rogue One. So, very interesting list. I feel like for the most part, right off the rip, I disagree with this. It's just not even close to how I feel with Star Wars, especially with rewatchability. At number 11, dead last, I would have Solo. I feel like, one and done, it is a fun watch. I love the movie, but at the same time, I don't need to watch it over and over. But like I said, of course, this is something that will be very subjective to your own opinion, and that is perfectly fine. It's not more so saying, oh, that movie's trash. It's just, rewatching it. There's so many things that go into rewatching movies. So that's the thing. You got to think of like, is it a comfort watch? Is this one you just kind of flip on and you're like, whatever? Is it an eventful watch? It's pretty much kind of the opinions on it can vary, from so many different things. Is it something you can just watch, just flip it on real quick? Is it something, if it's halfway through, are you going to finish the rest of it? I don't know. It's very interesting. But what's cool about Star Wars is pretty much each movie, there's new characters, different plots, different scenery. Even overall the vibes of each movie, that also comes into play. And there's always those specific scenes that stick out compared to others, so something that I see in Revenge of the Sith compared to something I see in Solo is going to be completely different, very drastic. But of course you always run into the thing of nostalgia, so you're going to have a nostalgia bias. And I feel like for the most part, there's going to be some things where I'm like, oh yeah, the nostalgia is real with this. And of course, all of you guys, as Star Wars fans, you definitely have those certain movies, certain TV shows that really keep you tied in. It's something that you're always looking forward to watching, and you can really just watch it 1,000 times over and over without it being old. And with them having Rogue One at number 1, I do love Rogue One. For me, rewatchability, I think it would be in the bottom half for Star Wars. Amazing movie. Love it so much. Top 3 movie, in my opinion, in Star Wars. But at the same time, one thing that also can kind of branch off of that is Andor. So I absolutely love Andor. I do think that it is the best Star Wars TV series. Now, is it my favorite Star Wars TV series? No. But I understand its worth, and I understand that it is the best series as a whole. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I will say Andor Season 1, I watched it all one time through. Andor Season 2, I've seen it twice all the way through. So I don't know when I'll be watching Andor Season 2 again for a rewatch, but to me, that is probably the least rewatchable in the Star Wars series universe. So that's kind of how I look at it. My standpoint and how I see things are going to be a little bit different than you guys. But I think with rewatching and the rewatchability, the entire topic of this episode, this week's episode, that makes sense. So it's nothing too crazy. I will say Rogue One, great movie, but them having The Rise of Skywalker at second to last. Now, I feel like this is pretty valid. A lot of Star Wars fans are kind of iffy with more so the prequel and sequel trilogy compared to the original trilogy. The original trilogy definitely gets that to love, that it's, the most complete story. Nothing is rushed, even though there are some things that are rushed, 1000%, but more so as a story and what they're trying to kind of unfold, especially the big reveal of Luke being Darth Vader's son and finding out that he has a twin sister and, the one that he's been making out with for the first 2 movies. Very, it's one of those things where you're just kind of like, yeah, I love Star Wars. So, so Rise of Skywalker, I will say top 3 opening in all of Star Wars. The opening, seeing Exegol, that's a planet I absolutely love. I really wish that we could kind of get more in depth with Exegol. Looks phenomenal. Kylo Ren going crazy on Mustafar. If you guys haven't read the Legacy of Vader comics, really cool. There's plenty of times, non-spoiler warning, but spoiler warning for the Legacy of Vader comics. Kylo Ren is on Mustafar a couple times, so it's really cool to see him kind of going back to a familiar place that we all know in Star Wars. But The Rise of Skywalker is one of those movies where, it kind of feels eventful at times. The story seems kind of rushed, but I feel like the more and more I watch it, it really is a comfort movie. I can flip any episode of Star Wars on and I'm going to watch it. It's whatever. What we do at the house is, if Star Wars is on Sling on any one of the channels, if it's on, we always click whichever it is. But The Rise of Skywalker, I feel like it's fun. It's such a fun movie, and I'm not gonna sit there and kind of critique it on like how is it as a movie, what's the story being told. I'm not gonna critique it on that, because especially if you're just kicking back, watching, you're just kind of throwing it on and you're just vibing, So The Rise of Skywalker, it's a fun one. There's plenty of action. Some of the characters are kind of going all out because, it's supposedly the last of the story, which I do think that this Simon Kinberg trilogy, taking place kind of being 10, 11, 12, it's going to be so good. And I really feel like it's going to kind of pick up some of the loose ends from the sequel trilogy and continue it, which I think the sequels do need a little bit of enhancement. I mean, look what the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch, did for the prequel trilogy. I mean, it did wonders, and you never knew that those stories could get told better. So kind of still going off their list, The Phantom Menace. I mean, going and rewatching this in theaters was such an amazing thing. It was, I kind of forget how slow like the first hour and 15 hour and a half is. It's very slow, very political, which nothing wrong with the political side of Star Wars, because I mean that's what it all is about. It kind of feels more like a chapter in itself. It's just kind of like, oh, here's like this little part of the story, but we're going to flesh it out. Here is episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And that's okay. The entire point of the prequels is to show a young Anakin Skywalker turning into Darth Vader. And that's valid. But the thing with The Phantom Menace is you get incredible highs. I mean, you look at Gungan City, getting to see, an underwater planet on Naboo, something you would never expect. Really cool visuals. We also get to see a young Anakin Skywalker on Tatooine, the infamous planet in Star Wars, and Anakin Skywalker. We see the beginning steps of Darth Vader. We get to see how everything kind of shapes and molds. And of course, obviously, the highlight of The Phantom Menace is Darth Maul. I mean, absolutely insane. What a character. And I'm so excited for Maul Shadow Lord. That's just right around the corner. And this was probably the biggest highlight of The Phantom Menace is Darth Maul. So seeing a character like that for the first time in this movie, and it still holds up for sure. This is this being low on rewatchability, it's valid. Attack of the Clones at number 9 for them. There's strong lore points in Attack of the Clones. That's something that I feel like a lot of people kind of overlook with Attack of the Clones, is there's a lot of lore. We get to see Count Dooku, which is Qui-Gon's master. We get to see so many different things in the beginning of the clones. And of course, the Clone Wars start right at the end of Attack of the Clones. We get to see more Jedi. I mean, who would have ever thought, watching the original trilogy, and years later, we're going to get a movie where it's a bunch of Jedi fighting against an army. Really beautiful, really cool. Jango Fett. We get to see the template of all of the clones. We get to see how all that starts. Boba Fett's dad. I mean, you kind of have to think about the time and the place when these movies released, and like all the different things that are getting pulled in and just kind of put in front of you on display. Like, look, check this out. We're expanding this character. Oh, this character had a really major role in this film or this series. And now we get to see, their dad, or we get to see a character that they're heavily involved with. So that's always cool. And of course, the battle on Geonosis, I know we just touched upon that a little bit, but that is probably one of the best scenes in all of Star Wars. Seeing how all the Jedi come together, seeing a young Anakin and Obi-Wan just kind of fighting and kind of still bickering. When they're in the worst moments imaginable, they're still bickering with each other. And you throw Padme in the mix, seeing her get an action role is always amazing. And we get to see Yoda for the first time spin around and just go absolutely crazy. I mean, seeing him fight Count Dooku is probably one of the better duels from the prequel trilogy, and there's so many good ones. But that is just, it's kind of the tip of the iceberg a little bit for Attack of the Clones. But it's one of those things where you don't want to watch it by itself. You kind of want to use it as that bridge point leading into either the Clone Wars animated series, if you wanted to start with Attack of the Clones and then hit the Clone Wars, then leading up into Revenge of the Sith. I mean, that's a really good watch. I mean, you could even watch episode 2 and 3, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and they still counteract each other pretty well. And they fit, they're good movies. But we already talked a little bit about Solo, especially that would be kind of the bottom of the list for me. And then let's finish off the sequels because they have them back to back here. So we'll start with The Last Jedi. It's very specific. It's emotional. It's like an emotional headspace. I mean, thinking about what Luke is seeing with his family, We can really get into the, controversy of this movie. I love this movie. I think it's great. I think it's the best sequel trilogy movie. I absolutely love it. There's so many good points in it, and I just feel like Luke in this is so valid. If you were like a huge Star Wars Legends fan, the EU, and seeing, Luke be this peak Jedi, the strongest Jedi to ever live, you're going to have a different viewpoint of him, especially in The Last Jedi. That's not going to be the Luke that you thought was going to happen. Now, with all those being legends, it's kind of looked at, in my opinion, as the Star Wars what if. That's kind of how I look at the EU and Legends. But I feel like from a family standpoint, Luke, 1000% valid. I feel like the way he kind of orchestrated everything and how he went about things was, it made sense. This isn't also just kind of like a casual movie. I mean, if you look at this is probably one of the better films for Star Wars. I mean, if you look at The Last Jedi as a film, it's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, if you rewatch it, it's to kind of feel some type of way, whether you don't like The Last Jedi and you're watching it and you feel pissed, that could be the way you feel about it, and that's fine, because that's how some movies, especially in trilogies, should feel. I mean, you want to like them all, but sometimes there's going to be that one where it's just not as good as the other. This isn't just kind of one of those ones you just like flip on and chill, in my opinion. If I'm just sitting back, kind of like, what, Last Jedi, let's pop that one on. That one, I feel like I got to sit up, in the seat and like watch it. There's always something to catch from The Last Jedi. Pretty cool. I mean, it also gives you that aspect to kind of connect to the different characters. You get moments with Rey, you get moments with Finn as his, character kind of dwindles off. You get moments with Luke. I mean, understanding that Han passed away and isn't able to get that justice and able to get back with Luke. Luke more than likely probably really wanted to be back with everyone, but he couldn't live with the guilt and the dread. So, it's one of those movies where you're like, it kind of hurts. It kind of hurts, So, they also at number 6 had The Force Awakens, and this one is probably top 4 in rewatchability. I mean, this one, I remember seeing it in theaters for the first time and being like, this is Star Wars. We are so back. Wow. The familiar structure with this movie, I mean, of course, it's kind of like A New Hope 2.0. I think it was done very well. The character introductions is something that is very underrated for Star Wars. I mean, wow. It feels like Star Wars comfort food. That's something I have noted here. I really appreciate the way that J.J. Abrams was kind of like, what? I've seen Star Wars. I'm going to stick to it. This is going to be, very similar to what we've seen before, kind of reintroducing a new trilogy. So beautiful start to the sequel trilogy. Really good. I appreciate this movie a lot. It's very good in my opinion. And yeah, it's a good one. So now we're into the top 5. Return of the Jedi. Now, I hadn't noted down, it's kind of like Endgame, not like we're drawing in forces to take down the big bad, but this is everyone more so plays their part, everything comes together, and really it's all about Luke getting that closure with his father. So everything here, Forest Moon of Endor, the battle, the final battle, the destruction of the second Death Star, Jabba's palace. I mean, that's a huge plus to why Return of the Jedi is number 2 on my list in the Star Wars ranking, because it's just, it's so good. I absolutely love Return of the Jedi. Very, very rewatchable. I would have this at number 2 probably, just like my movie list. You feel the closure. It's good. I do love that between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy, there's a huge gap between the two. Now we get the Mandoverse in this in-between timeline, which is probably my favorite era in Star Wars, is the Mandoverse. It's a really cool time. Post Empire, very interesting times. I mean, it's something that you can always kind of fall back to. I mean, it's very comforting. Everything for this entire era is really fun. At number 4, they have Revenge of the Sith. And I don't know how you have probably the most rewatchable prequel movie at the least being at the end. I mean, the emotional payoff is something I also have written down. It gets stronger as you get older. I mean, they always have that saying where it's just like, oh, maybe this time Anakin won't fall to the dark side. Nope. It happens every single time. There are a lot of new details. There's a lot of new backstories, especially in animated series. We get to see different POVs of, you know, the ending of the Clone Wars, Order 66, stuff like that. What was everyone doing at this time? And it's such a cool thing. So when you go back and watch Revenge of the Sith, you're like, oh yeah, that happened. Oh, okay, yeah. So Revenge of the Sith, I mean, it's the best Star Wars movie in my opinion, and it's also the most rewatchable. If I've seen one Star Wars movie 1,000, a million times, it would be Revenge of the Sith. So very cool. Love that episode. A New Hope at number 3. That is very valid. I feel like that was just on the other day and we flipped it on, just hanging out in the living room and watching that. It's a good one. It's very fun. I do love seeing, you know, Luke having the abilities to hear Obi-Wan through the Force, and, you know, he's letting the Force flow through him. Something that he's, you know, more than likely he's dealt with his whole life. You know, he knew that he was a little different and could feel things and sense things, but seeing it on full display here for the first time, it's a very cool thing. And it helps you kind of grow towards Luke. This is a character that you're going to be with for the 3 original films, and of course some in the sequel trilogy. But this is amazing. I absolutely love it. It's an adventure. It's simple. It's timeless. The movie doesn't ever really feel dated too. That's probably the main thing I have right here. Is it's for its time, 1977. It's very, very good, and the way it's handled and the way it was delivered was, you know, it was meant to be a standalone film, but, you know, they were able to go forward with it and create sequels of that. So A New Hope, it's how everything started. So shout out A New Hope. And number 2, they have The Empire Strikes Back with perfect pacing. It's very character driven. There's really no wasted areas, I would say, in Empire Strikes Back. Seeing Boba Fett, you know, kind of get his little limelight. Love that. It's one where this can literally be at any point in time, and you just let it run. I mean, there's nothing you can say about the Empire Strikes Back and it's just, you know, not a good movie. Like, there's no way you can say that. But this specifically being a rewatchable topic, this one is up there. It's top 3. It's probably number 2 on my list. Absolutely love this one. It's fun. The Hoth scenes, the battle sequences, seeing Luke fight Vader for the first time. Luke has no idea what he's doing. Very minimal training from Yoda, and he's basically just going off of senses, and it comes back and bites him. Going through, it sets up perfectly to Return of the Jedi. So the original trilogy has that good tight-knit storytelling, and I know George Lucas and his team did a great job with the original trilogy. And this is just like, I feel like across the fandom, a lot of fans have The Empire Strikes Back at their number 1. So that's valid. It's got to be top 3, I feel like, in rewatchability, and I can agree with them on this one. And then, of course, they had Rogue One at number 1. So yeah, I mean, what characters can you relate to? Let me know down in the comments. I know that's a huge thing, that when you want to pick out what's rewatchable, you want to see if you're vibing with the characters, you want to see if you're vibing out with the story, the plot, everything that's going on in the background. How does it look? How does it feel? That's something you kind of have to take from Star Wars and what these movies are addressing to us. The stress, the nostalgia, the burnouts, characters like Anakin, Luke, Jyn Erso, Thrawn, you know, so many different characters all throughout Star Wars. What characters draw you in and make you want to watch these films? I mean, do you like Anakin Skywalker in Episode 3? Is that why you watch it so much? Do you like Max Rebo so much that you want to go watch Return of the Jedi? Like, any of those things, just, I mean, it makes the episode personal for you and, you know, those around you. And it's not something you can really take for granted. I mean, it's being a Star Wars fan that's different. I mean, you have those times where you see those movies, certain movies. I mean, for instance, with me watching Revenge of the Sith, I'm like, man, it never gets old and it never fumbles. And, you know, some people are like, dude, that movie's really not that good. It's overrated. And you're like, fine, whatever. But, you know, kind of staying on track. I mean, it's what brings me comfort and it's what brings me joy, because the movie, in my opinion, is just so damn good. But I mean, you kind of, like, I have to reiterate, there's no right or wrong lists. When you think of rewatching a movie, it's not about the quality. It's everything that makes up the little points into you wanting to watch that movie. So it takes a lot of things, but I mean, like I said, guys, let me know down in the comments, what is the most rewatchable Star Wars movie in your opinion? You can go ahead if you want, list out all 11 movies. Let me know. That would be cool. I'd love to see what you guys have in rewatchability. And also, don't base it off whether you like the movie or not. Now, if you don't like, if The Force Awakens, but you have it dead last, I mean, was there some things in it that you did like? Does it really fall down there? Just let me know how you would rank these and what your opinions are. But also, if you can, let me know, should we do another kind of ranking or era breakdown for next week? I'll keep some things in mind. We may talk some news. We may rank a little bit, try to figure out some different things within the Star Wars universe to kind of keep you guys entertained. And of course, I love talking Star Wars. I'm literally yapping in the nerd room right now about Star Wars. So this is a great time as always. But with this episode coming to an end, I just want to thank you guys once again for joining me for another week here on Clan Brandolorian. I've absolutely had a good time tonight. This is great. I'm having such a good time recording this podcast. So be sure to follow on TikTok, on Instagram. Go check out the new merch site. Go check out the new website. And be sure to subscribe here on YouTube. We're at 824 subscribers as of the recording. And I never thought we would be anywhere close to 1,000 subscribers, even when I started the channel. I've had ideas like, man, I want to have 1 million subscribers. And I mean, we're almost to 1,000. I mean, I would have never guessed that. So always appreciate you guys. And most importantly, comment down below. What are your most rewatchable Star Wars movies? So yeah, as always, guys, thank you so much for watching this week. Take care. We're going to see you next week. Be there or be square, I guess. I don't know what to say. But thank you guys so much. We'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you. Clan Brandolorian, I'm out.